2 weeks from right now, our plan is to go out and live the sermon. Okay, instead of just sitting in our nice, comfortable, padded seats and listening to a sermon, we get the opportunity to go outside of our walls and be the sermon. Francis of Assisi is credited with saying, "Go everywhere preaching the gospel, and if necessary, use words." I like that. I think that's good. In 2 weeks, we'll have a chance to devote a day to service, to demonstrating with action the love of God. Okay, and I'll give you more details later this morning about exactly what those projects will look like and how we will do that. But this week and next week, I want us to take just a couple Sundays and talk about what it means to live service. What does it mean for us to follow in the way of Jesus? To think about serving others, to think not about being served ourselves, but what does it look like for us to go and be Jesus to people around us? Why is this so important? Okay, one text I want us to look at this morning is 1 Peter chapter 4. If you have a Bible you'd like to follow along, notice 1 Peter chapter 4, starting in verse 7. Peter says, "The end of all things is near. Therefore, be alert and of sober mind so that you may pray. Above all, love each other deeply, because love covers over a multitude of sins. Offer hospitality to one another without grumbling. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. If anyone speaks, they should do so as one who speaks the very words of God. If anyone serves, they should do so with the strength God provides, so that in all things God may be praised through Jesus Christ. To him be the glory and the power forever and ever. Amen." Right, a lot of things that we can learn about what it means to serve from this passage. What does it look like for us to love others deeply by serving them? Okay, but before we deal with service itself, I want you to notice the final phrase of this passage. Not the final phrase, the first phrase. Okay, notice the way Peter sets this up. The thing that he says that colors everything else that he's going to say after it, he starts by saying an odd phrase. He says, "The end of all things is near." Okay, the end of all things is near. Okay, Peter believed that as Christians, we live with the knowledge that we are living in the last days. Okay, we don't know how long these days will last. We don't know when Jesus is coming back, but we know our time is extremely limited. We don't know when Jesus is coming, but when he comes back, that changes how we think about everything. All right, I want to tell you the story of a guy named Dr. Scott Kurtzman. Okay, Dr. Kurtzman is the chief of surgery at Waterbury Hospital in Connecticut. And one morning he got up and he was on his way to deliver a lecture to a bunch of medical students. And as he was driving along, he was following behind a dump truck. And the dump truck in front of him lost control of his brakes, couldn't stop his car, ended up flipping the dump truck. The dump truck slid out into traffic. 20 vehicles were involved in a collision in the matter of the next few seconds. Immediately, dozens of people were injured. 4 people were killed. The doctor sitting right behind all of the mangled cars. Okay, so what do you think the doctor did? Do you think he sat back and said, "Man, all those poor people, I can't believe all those people involved in that wreck, that's terrible. Someone really should come along and help all those people. I'm going to sit here and turn up the radio, listen for a little while, watch what happens." Okay, is that what the doctor did? No, Dr. Kurtzman jumped out of his car, immediately went and asked, "Does anybody need help?" Immediately he heard a voice cry out. He went and pulled that person out, got them stabilized, and held them there until the ambulance came. Okay, over the next hour and a half, Dr. Kurtzman helped person after person. As soon as he finished working on one person, he'd ask, "Who else needs my help?" And he would run over and help that person. When he was interviewed later about his heroic actions that day and the dozens of people that he prepped and got them to the hospital, the interviewer asked, "Why did you do this?" Okay, and the doctor said, "A person with my skills simply can't drive by someone who's injured. I refuse to live my life that way." All right, here's the thing. if we really believe that the end is near, if we really believe that we're living in the last days, if we honestly think that Jesus could come back at any moment, then we can't help but serve. We like to live as if the world and as if our lives will go on like they've always gone on. Most of us have a very set routine. We wake up about the same time every day. We get our coffee in the same way. We take our kids where they go. Okay, we get used to living the same life every single day, and we get lulled into this sense that it's going to always be like that. We relax. We think that this life is eternal, and yet we come to church, we read Scripture, we know better. We know that every day, we know that either, we know that there's two ways our life can end, right? Either we will die or we will be alive when Jesus Christ returns. Right? Those are the only possible outcomes to your life. You will either die or you will be alive when Jesus comes back. Okay, we also as Christians know that we've been given very specific skills. God has equipped each one of us with spiritual gifts. He expects us to use those gifts to serve others. Okay, so I think we should think just like Dr. Kurtzman. Okay, a person with those skills can't simply drive by. With the knowledge that we have, we shouldn't be able to help but serve people around us to the glory of God. All right, so we serve with the understanding that the end is near and we can't help but serve. Okay, also, number 2 on your outline on your bulletin is that we serve with the knowledge that our strength comes from God. Okay, we serve knowing our strength comes from God. Peter says, if anyone serves, they do so with the strength that God provides. Back in 1999, there's a kid named Kevin Stephen. He lived in Lancaster, New York, and he was a bat boy for his brother's Little League baseball team. Okay, during one game, a player was warming up with his bat. He was swinging, trying to get loose, getting ready to go up to bat, when Kevin walked behind him, and the guy swinging the bat didn't see him, and he didn't see the kid swinging the bat, and the kid hit Kevin in the chest with his bat with a full swing. Hit him so hard that Kevin's heart stopped. Well, sitting in the stands that day was a lady named Penny Brown. She was a nurse. She rushed out of the stands, ran over to the boy, did CPR. She revived Kevin. Kevin went on to make a full recovery. 7 years later, in 2006, Penny Brown was eating at the Hillview restaurant in Depew, New York, when she took a big bite of food and it got lodged in her throat. She couldn't breathe. Her airway was completely obstructed. As all the patrons around were screaming for help, one of the restaurant employees ran over, grabbed her from behind, did the Heimlich maneuver, and saved her life. The young man working at the restaurant was Kevin Stephen, the kid that she had saved 7 years prior. Okay, I tell you that story because at some point in your life, you have been served. Okay, God served you both directly through the power of His Spirit, and God has served you at numerous points in your life by using other people to serve you. Okay, you have been served. Somebody shared the gospel with you. Somebody helped you when you needed it. Somebody saved your life. Somebody fed and clothed you before you could feed and clothe yourself. And part of our responsibility as those who have been served is to turn around and use the strength that God has given us to serve others. Okay, also, at some point in your life, I don't care how self-reliant you are, I don't care how strong you are, how in control you feel that you are about your life, at some point you will be served again. Right? I don't mean to be morbid this morning, but I've been to a lot of funerals, I've preached a lot of funerals, and I have yet to attend one where the guest of honor served as a pallbearer. I don't care how self-reliant you are, there will come a time in your life where someone will serve you. God gives us the strength that we have today, expecting us to use that strength to serve other people. As a church, we will have an opportunity to do that together in 2 weeks. And when we go, the biggest thing we've got to remember is we don't serve because we're so great and wonderful. We serve because God has given us the strength to do it. All right, number 3, last point, is we serve so that God may be praised. Peter writes, so that in all things God may be praised through Jesus Christ. Once upon a time, I was in my office in Texas doing my normal preacher thing, studying and getting ready for the next Sunday. And an old man walked in my office. He was a very wealthy man, but you wouldn't know it by the way he dressed. He always dressed in old coveralls. In fact, one joke that turned out to be true, I asked him about it, and later he confirmed it was true, is that once upon a time he tried to give a homeless man $5, and the man wouldn't take it. He said, "No, buddy, you look like you need this more than I do." Okay? But the old man was very wealthy. He was actually the wealthiest man in the county. And he had heard that there was a family in our church that could use a little assistance. So he came by my office that day, unannounced. He dropped an envelope on my desk, and he asked me to make sure that there was enough money in that envelope and make sure that it got to the family. He also told me to make sure that nobody knew that it was from him. Okay, in that envelope was a stack of $20 bills, and I counted out $2,000 on my desk. I guarantee you that my preacher's desk had never seen $2,000 before. Now, I've been a part of other people serving at times when they wanted to make sure that everybody knew about it, right? They wanted to make sure that if they were going to go serve somebody, if they were going to do something kind for a family at church, or if they were going to be part of some big service project, they wanted everybody to know that they were out there serving so that people would look at them and say, "Man, that's a servant right there." But I like the way the old man did it that day in my office. He didn't serve so that he could be praised. He served very specifically so that God would be praised. So on September 13th, we're going to go and clean up some yards. We're going to encourage some people. We're going to go help people fix a few things that they can't fix on their own. And I hope that we get all those projects done. I hope that we clean the yards up and that everything turns out fine and that we make those people's lives a little bit easier. But our ultimate goal on September the 13th is not just to help people out with a few simple chores. Our ultimate goal on September 13th is to serve people so that they will feel God's love through us. At the end of our service, I hope that they don't say, "Man, those are great and wonderful people." Instead, I hope they say, "Thank you, Lord, for using the Gwinnett Church of Christ." We serve not so that we can receive praise and glory and adulations and honor. We serve so that God can be praised. All right, I want to go through some of the details with you for what it's going to look like in 2 weeks, because this is kind of a new thing. This isn't anything we've ever done before as a church. Okay, but the first thing you need to know about Sunday 2 weeks from today is do not wear your Sunday best. For some of you, that won't be a problem. Okay, but don't come in your coat and tie. This is not the Sunday for that. Come ready to work, because we're going to put you to work, and it's going to be great. All right, the basic schedule of what's going to go on is we will not have Bible class. All right, we'll have some coffee and maybe some pastries or something if you show up at 9:30. But don't plan on being here 9:30 for class. You won't have a class if you show up at 9:30 unless you're going to be the one teaching yourself. All right, at 10:30, our normal time when we gather together to worship, we will gather together here in our auditorium. We will spend just a few minutes praying together with one another. We will take communion together as a church, and we will have our final instructions. All right, that time should take us right about 15 minutes to pray, have communion together, and get ready to go out and serve. We will not have a sermon here at the building because we're going out and living the sermon. So hopefully by 11 o'clock, we will have divided everybody into our teams, and we'll be ready to go out and go to our various service projects. For many of you, the most important question is, what about lunch? Okay, lunch will be delivered to your work site. We've got a crew that is set up to put lunches together and deliver those lunches. And you will get your lunch served to you at your workplace. We are looking at finishing everything up by 3 o'clock. And this is not something that will take us all day. It will take a chunk of the day. But all of these projects are things that we can either have done well before 3 o'clock, or we're going to be finishing up whatever we can get done by 3 o'clock. All right. We have several projects lined up, and you get to choose which project you want to be a part of, unless you've been volunteered already and told what project you're going to volunteer for, which some of you have done that and been very gracious about it. And we also have projects, just so you know, that can either be done here at the building or projects that need to be done away from the building, so there's no excuse. All right, we know that not everybody can get out and go clean up a yard, but there's something on this list that everybody can do and everybody can be a part of, and all of these are extremely important. All right, the first project that we're going to be tackling is the Applewood Service Project. Applewood has over 200 residents. I didn't realize it was quite that large until recently. But we want to serve those 200 residents at Applewood. We're going to put a package together for every one of those residents. Each one of those packages will contain a craft and a handwritten note. And we will be putting together all of those packages here at the building. And then some of us, if you're able, will be able to take those over to Applewood and distribute them to the residents. So one of the projects that will happen here is you can be a part of helping us put all of those packets together, writing those encouraging notes, and getting those craft pieces together. Melissa Joyner is our captain over that one, and she's chosen today not to be here with us, so I can't point her out. But she's come up with an incredible craft. It's a great service project. We're going to have some notes, and that's going to be a great project. Another service project, which also has its captain missing for the day, is the Welcome to the Neighborhood Service Project. I don't know if you've noticed, but around our building, we've got lots of new neighborhoods being built, new houses being built. And our plan is that every time a new family moves into one of those houses, we want to have a Welcome to the Neighborhood packet to put on their doorstep saying, GCC welcomes you to the neighborhood. Okay, Sonia Armentrout is putting together those packets. Each one of those will require a small craft that we're putting together, a handwritten note that says, welcome to the neighborhood. And another one of the projects you can be a part of here at the building is helping us put together all of those packages. Later, as new families are moving in, we'll have opportunity to take those and drop them off after church on a Sunday morning. That's a further service project that will happen at a later date. But what we need to do in 2 weeks is put all of those packages together. Okay, the third project is the Children's Project. Nichelle Jackson is the one heading up this project. We're very grateful for her on that. And this is going to coordinate with the Applewood Project. All of the kids are going to write a little card and do some kind of an art craft that we will put in all of those Applewood packets that will be taken to the residents at Applewood. Okay, so I want you to just take a second and imagine what it's like for one of those residents at Applewood to get a knock on their door, open up, and see that this church loves you, and here is a wonderful picture done by a little kid just to make your day a little bit brighter. We're going to create a lot of smiles in 2 weeks. Okay? Our kids are going to be involved in this project. All right. Then we also have a series of outdoor projects. All right. All of these projects that will take place at various people's houses within about a 20-minute radius of our church building. All of these projects were obtained through the co-op, except for one where we're going to take care of one of our own members. Okay, all of these projects will involve manual labor, mostly things like cleaning up yards and doing minor repairs on people's homes. Each of these projects has a designated captain and will require a team of folks to complete. All right, the captains for those service projects are David Palmer, Lynn Torak, John Kinzorski, Tim Weekly, and Brett Nichols. Okay, and I tell you that because if you already know that you want to be involved in going out and serving at one of those housing projects, okay, serving on helping somebody who can't do their own yard work and can't do the own repairs that they need at their house, I want you to already know all of the team captains' names on that, because it's helpful if as many of us as possible can go ahead and talk to a team captain and determine, hey, that's where I'm going and that's what I'm doing that Sunday. The more of us that can decide where we're going ahead of time, the less we have to decide where we're going on that Sunday. That all make sense? All right, also we have a very important project, the lunch project. Janie Guyton is heading up that particular project. And this is another one that if you are planning on staying at the building that Sunday, you can be involved in the lunch crew, putting together meals not only for us as workers, but also meals for all of the families that we are serving on our Living the Sermon Sunday. Okay, final project is the nursery project. All right, what do you do if you have children? Okay, we need some people who are willing to stay here at the building with our youngest children, so that all of the parents and everyone else can be involved in living the sermon. So if you have kids, your kids can either go to the nursery if they're little kids, or if they're older children, they can work on the children's project, or your kids can go with you and work on a project if you as the parent will take responsibility for your own children. Okay? You have options. All right, so again, if you already know what project you might like to work on, go ahead and talk to the leader of that project so that we can go ahead and get an idea of kind of who's going where. And again, if you want to just show up on that Sunday and go where you're most needed, we can make that happen too. But we'll volunteer you to go somewhere and do something, and we're eager to all be part of living the sermon. All right, I've been a part of this at other churches, and it's always been a great experience. This is a great opportunity for people to grow closer together, for us to do something other than just talk about ministry, for us to actually get our hands a little bit dirty, to engage in ministry. You can look for more information coming by email to you soon. We'll talk more about this next week. But I hope we all take seriously what it means to serve others. Okay, again, the reason we are able to do this at all is because Jesus Christ first served us. I hope that everything that we do is in reflection on that fact, that Jesus served us, Jesus loved us, and he expects us to turn around and love and serve others. At this time in our service, we're going to sing a few verses of an invitation song. During the singing of this song, we as the church want to be here for you. If there's anything you'd like to speak about to me or one of our shepherds, we'll be available during the singing of this song. If we can help you in any way, please come forward now while we stand and while we sing.